Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dermott, and I'd like to welcome you to our second education webinar. So the theme of our autumn webinar series is looking at how educators are using tools such as Meetoo. And just under 2 weeks ago, myself and Amy took a look at some practical uses of Meetoo, taken directly from customer experiences. So this week, we're really pleased to have Adam Warren, the Senior Learning Designer from University of Southampton, join us as our guest speaker. And he's going to demonstrate how to use and build interactive scenarios and storylines to help create dynamic learning opportunities. So this is a new use of interactive tools, and we're really excited to have Adam with us today.
Hi.
So just before we get started, I'd like to encourage you all to take part in our Meetoo session. It is really important for this particular experience and the outcome of this presentation. So Adam will be using live polling to drive his presentation. So if you've got any questions as we go along, please submit them through Meetoo. And as you can see, the details are on screen now. But don't forget to like other people's comments, so when we get to the end and the short Q&A session, we'll know which ones to answer first. Just to let you know, if for any reason we can't answer any of your questions or we actually run out of time, then we do promise that we'll get back to you all with an email answering those questions afterwards. So now without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Adam to introduce and demonstrate this new approach.
Okay. Next slide, please. Yeah, thanks, Dermott. So I've supported the use of student response systems at the University of Southampton since 2008. And I think what I'm showing you today is potentially a new and very interesting educational application of in-class polling. So, next slide. Next slide, please, Dermott. Thanks. So my colleague James Wilson has been using a technique called forum theatre since 2004 to help engage health science students in complex issues around the lived experience of people with dementia or mental health problems, and in particular their interactions with the healthcare system. So he works with other staff and students to devise a structured scenario which they present in class as a short improvised play, and this play exposes and explores the issues around, having mental health issues, for example. The cast rehearse the play a few times, and although there's no fixed script, they have a good idea about what they'll say as the plot develops and changes. And the plot changes because forum theatre encourages the audience to interrupt the play at any point and suggest alternative courses of action. The cast then improvise to show how that might affect the plot, and the play is usually run several times during the session to enable the students to explore all the various choices and their consequences. Now, James has also experimented with using student response systems to enable the whole class to participate in choosing those alternative courses of action rather than like an individual student who puts their hand up. So at specific points, a voting slide is displayed and the students individually click to choose an option, and the play then proceeds based on the most popular choice. This greatly simplifies rehearsal, since the play is now basically a branching scenario with a small set of fixed decision points, although the script remains largely improvised. Now, although forum theatre is a highly effective educational technique and it gets great feedback from the students, it does require a good deal of rehearsal time and a cast prepared to improvise in front of an audience, and that's quite a big ask. So I wondered if a slide-based branching scenario could be developed which would provide similar educational benefits, and I've developed a small demo which we're going to try in a minute to show how it might work. So I think a key principle is that the students should be able to discuss the choices presented in small groups or with their neighbours for a minute or two before voting individually. Now, I think that this approach has applications in many disciplines beyond health sciences and medicine, such as engineering, business studies, environmental studies, languages, in fact any topic where the tutor can imagine a learning scenario that requires choices to be made. So, without any more ado, please get ready to vote and decide how my example scenario will unfold. Obviously, you won't be able to discuss your choices before voting, and remember that you don't have to make the best decision each time. So often the key learning points from these types of scenarios depend on making poor choices and seeing what goes wrong, and it's good to be able to do that in the safety of a simulation. Okay, Dermott, will you move on to the next slide? So here's the introduction to the scenario. And as you can see, it's really quite concise. You're about to catch a train to attend a job interview for an academic post at the University of Newchester. Your train will leave in 10 minutes, so you go to the station shop to buy a copy of the Times Higher Education to read on the way. Next slide, please. So here's the first choice slide in the scenario. In the shop. You notice a smartly dressed young woman take a fashion magazine off the shelf and put it in her bag. She then turns and walks towards the door. Do you ignore this shoplifting, try to alert a member of staff, follow the woman, or challenge her yourself? Okay, you've got about sort of 15 seconds to make up your choice here. You've got to be quick. Three, two, one. Okay, let's see what you've chosen. Okay, so most of you have decided sensibly to try and alert a member of staff. So here I'm going to ask Dermott to click on that link to, and that will take us to the relevant slide. A formal process. So the assistant calls the manager, who calls the police, and you try to explain that you'll be late, but your train is already leaving the station. After making a statement, you wait for the next train and call the university to explain that you'll be late. And here there is only one choice, so Dermott, if you'd like to click on that link. On the next train. Your train pulls in and you find a seat. 20 minutes later, the conductor enters your carriage to check tickets. Oh no, you can't find yours in your wallet. Do you check all your pockets again? Wait to talk to the guard? Hope that the guard ignores you? Or get up and hide in the toilet? Okay, 15 seconds to make your choice, please. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Let's see what you've done. Yep, checking all your pockets again sounds like a very sensible idea, doesn't it? Let's make that choice. Not found. You check all your pockets, but the ticket is definitely missing. The conductor has arrived at your seat and asked to see your ticket, so there's nothing you can do but talk to the conductor. Lost your ticket, sir? I don't suppose you have the receipt, do you? Asked the conductor. You check your pockets and wallet again, but no, you don't. Choose one of these. Now, this is kind of quite an interesting choice. So here, you don't have enough information. So this is, if you like, a random choice one. So you just need to pick whether this happens or that happens. And you've got 5 seconds to do it. 3, 2, 1. Is it this or is it that? It's that. Okay, let's click and see what that happens. Oh dear, full fare. The conductor says he's sorry, but you'll have to buy a replacement ticket at full cost. Ooh, well, that's £85 you'll never see again. An hour later, your train arrives at Newchester, and you catch a taxi to the university for your interview. Okay, let's move on to see what happens at the university. At the interview, your journey has been difficult, but you try to feel confident as you enter the interview room. But you're in for a shock, as one of the interview panel is the young woman you saw stealing. Do you 1. Challenge her? 2. Hope she doesn't recognise you? 3. Other, but be prepared to tell us what that is. So in a classroom situation, if people majority voted other, you could start picking on people. Okay, vote now, please. Three, 2, 1. Let's see how we're going. The safe option. Okay, so you hope she doesn't recognise you. So at this point we leave the scenario, which could easily continue for a couple more scenes. And what you can see here is a diagram showing the nodes, the PowerPoint slides, and how they're connected by choices. You'll note that each slide has a short title, and I used these as I was developing the scenario by sketching it out in pencil on a large sheet of paper. The connections between the nodes can get quite tangled, which is okay provided that they're clear, and I had to make a real effort to tidy up that paper diagram to create the neat version you see here, and you really don't need to do that. It's kind of okay to work from the paper version. You can also see that I've divided the scenario into scenes which have a single connection, so there's shown by the dotted lines. And this helps to structure the story and prevents it from becoming a sprawling mess. Some scenes might only be reached if specific choices were made, and so your scenario doesn't have to be a linear one like I've shown here, in which you encounter every single scene. So I created a PowerPoint template slide with placeholders for the title, the text, the choices, and an image. You need to keep the descriptive text quite short. So if students need detailed information to guide their choice, so for example in a medical scenario it might be a patient's blood test results or their ECG readout, then you should provide that in a handout. Obviously I think that writing the text is the hardest part, but it's also the most fun and creative, and you can kind of get into the swing of it. Good idea to try and make it as authentic as possible. Okay, so and every part of what you see on the screen helps to shape the story and carry it forward. So for example, I use the title to set the scene for each node. And the choices should guide student discussion that supports the learning outcomes you're trying to achieve, and it should ideally not be trivial to identify the correct choice. Now let's have a quick look at a PowerPoint to see how to create the connections. Dermott, could you move to the next slide and switch to edit mode, please? Okay, so this is a sort of fairly standard PowerPoint slide, and you can see I've added the title, the text, the picture, the image credit, and just a normal bulleted list. Now Meetoo makes it easy to convert a numbered list of choices into a polling question, so you can develop a lot of this without having the Meetoo plugin installed, and you simply click that Convert to Poll button. It grabs the title and the bullet list, click Add, and it does all the work for you. Now you may need to move things around a little bit, so notice that the details we've got for the polling apparatus, so to speak, can be positioned the way that you want it on the page, and that's quite often really useful in terms of moving it relative to pictures and other information you've got on the slide. Then what we do is that you select the text of that first choice, you right-click, you choose Hyperlink from the drop-down menu, and then over on the left there you can see Places in this document, and that shows you a list of the slides and their titles, and this is another reason why it's a good idea to have good descriptive titles for your slide. So I think this one leads to number 12. That's just, you ignore the shoplifting and catch your train, so click on OK, and if we select the next one, try to alert a member of staff, that leads to the one number 10, perhaps, called a formal process that you've already explored, and so on and so forth. Now you need to do this linking after you've converted the bulleted list into voting choices. Otherwise, that process eliminates the links. So there's one final thing I'd like to show you, and that is how to rerun the scenario. And very often, as I say, you need to kind of run the scenario several times during the session so that students can explore the different choices. So what you do is, up on there, you can see that Dermott's pointing at the clear results on the Meetoo ribbon. And we're going to clear all the Meetoo slides, so that resets the polling data. Now if you'd like to go back to the first voting slide, that's in the shop. And if you click, we're then able to run through this again. So let's just quickly go through it again. I think we've got a few minutes. Let's at this time try and make some sort of poorer choices and see the things that happen just for fun. Okay, so if you'd like to make a poor choice. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Yep. Challenge for yourself. Let's give that a go then. Excuse me, miss, are you going to pay for that magazine? She looks at you in anger and hisses, "Get out of my way, you stupid idiot!" And she catches you off balance as she quickly pushes past and you fall awkwardly. And by the time you get up, she's gone and your phone seems to be broken again. So you go to your platform and catch your train. Okay, again you click to open the polling, and let's make again a poor choice just to see what happens. Three, 2, 1, okay. Yeah, it's always the bad choice, isn't it? So let's get up and hide in the toilet and see what happens. And so on and so forth. So you see how this method works. Okay, I think that's all I have to say here. So Dermott, if you'd like to move on to the questions and answers, I think. Let me just have a little look through what we've got here.
Okay, I think we've got a couple of questions in here. We'll just start from the top here. So, Adam, have you used this in class before, and what was the reaction if so?
Well, we've used it with James and a different polling technology for his forum theatre, and the students really liked it. I have to say it was very popular. But I've only just developed this method of using the PowerPoint slides combined with the polling technique. So part of the role of seminars like this and other ones I'm giving is to let people know about the technique and encourage you to give it a go.
Good stuff. Rebecca has asked a good question here, and I think we've answered it by going through a demonstration. So how do you move between slides to the correct answer? Hopefully that demonstration has answered that one okay. We've got a few jumping in here. I'm afraid Nildo is having some difficulty with the phone system, so that's a shame, but we will send you the recording of this so that you can hear it.
Okay, so there's a comment from Rebecca about creating a scenario map feels difficult. So really this is all about storytelling and imagining how a scenario might go and thinking about how people might react to that. So if you've not done it before, it might feel quite daunting, but I think the thing is just give it a go and see how it goes. You need to have if you like, a realistic scenario in mind, and then try and imagine how that might play out.
Nick has asked, have you considered using open-ended responses that could open the discussion?
Well, at the moment, Meetoo doesn't support open-ended comments. I mean, you can do it through the discussion message board that we're using at the moment, but not in terms of a polling thing. Although I believe that is coming. I think in one of your webinars you said that was on the roadmap, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's possible, but then you're kind of back at forum theatre and having to improvise what happens if somebody suggests something out of the box. So. If you saw somebody shoplifting and what you did was you made a citizen's arrest or something, then that was the most popular choice. Then having to deal with that, you hadn't planned for that. So I think these scenarios are quite constrained, and that was an attempt to avoid that need to improvise.
I don't believe there are any more particular questions at the moment, but what we will do is we'll leave Meetoo open, and if you do have any more, you can send them in.
Nildo Costa has asked about a function to give the right answer to the students, and that arrived just earlier this month, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. A week or so ago, yes. So that's absolutely a functionality now. And hopefully you can have a play with it. But yes, you are certainly able to show the correct answer back in the app to the students.
So, yeah, I thought that was a great addition.
Good stuff. Okay, well, like I say, we'll answer any other questions via an email or other forum. But we've actually got a couple of evaluation questions to practice what we preach here. So I'd just like everybody to respond to those if possible. So are you interested in using interactive scenarios with your students? Yes, definitely. Yes, maybe. Sounds too difficult, or no. Hopefully it's not too difficult now after the really good demonstration that Adam's given us. Okay, close that there. Oh, brilliant.
Oh, excellent.
That's a really good result.
That's excellent. I'm really pleased that I've encouraged you to give it a go.
Yeah, you may need to give some more classes on creating more detailed ones, Adam, after this.
Well, hopefully I'm going to give a sort of similar presentation to this as part of the Association for Learning Technology Winter Conference. And for that, I'm going to see if I can cook up a real scenario rather than the sort of the sampler that I showed you today. So that will be my challenge for the next couple of weeks, is to find an academic and work with them to develop something real.
Oh, that'd be good. Well, we look forward to getting the details of that, and we'll share it with people. Great. Another evaluation question. So how useful was this webinar to you? Very useful, quite useful, not very useful, not useful at all. And I'm going to take that quickly there. Okay. And of course, we're not going to show those results. Another question, what sort of webinars would you like to see more of from Meetoo Education? So in this question, I'd like you to vote for up to 3 choices. So choose your top 3 in no particular order, but just 3, and then press send to submit. So guest speaker topics, so similar to today, practical tips and uses of Meetoo, advanced Meetoo user sessions, general Q&A or user-driven sessions. So if you could select up to 3 and then press send to submit, that'd be great. Okay, take that there. Okay, quite a spread. That'll give Amy and the team something to work on. And then the last question here, just for our benefit, where did you hear about today's webinar? So Meetoo sent directly, an email shared, Facebook advert, the ALT newsletter, a colleague recommendation, or was it something else? If you just respond to that, and if it was something else, if you could drop that into the messaging feed, although we have no others, so we're okay there. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us.
Okay,
It's
goodbye.
been a pleasure to have Adam on, so thank you very much, Adam, for sharing your experiences. It was really interesting, certainly, from my point of view, it's great to see Meetoo being used like that, and I'm sure our teams will be going out trying to demonstrate the techniques you've shown us today.
Okay, look forward to seeing that.
Brilliant.
Okay, thank you. Right, goodbye.
Thanks very much. Bye.